right. Hello, everyone. My name is Abby, and I am a volunteer for the Secret Illness. And today we're going to be talking about what the Secret Illness does, and art, and hope, and reducing stigma, and so many other things. But I also wanted to, before I get started, speaking of art, I know we're having these are interesting times, and I just wanted to say that art has been helping me through this pandemic, and it's been challenging, but I've been finding community and finding stories and art that have kind of lifted me, and so I'm going to be asking you at a certain time in a little bit whether this has been the same for you. So. Let me get started. I am going to, so what I want to do is tell you a little bit about the Secret Illness, and also tell you a little bit about myself and how I got involved, and I'll give you just a basic overview here of what we're going to be talking about. And I'm sorry if I'm trying to get things correct on the video here. I'm having a little bit of trouble, but I think I'm okay. So this is a little weird for me to do this by Zoom, but one of the great things about Zoom is that my cat might actually make an appearance. So if he does, you're in for a treat because he knows how to sing. So I will, we will wait with bated breath for that. So. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to just give you an overview of what we're talking about, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Secret Illness, and then there's going to be a video there so the Secret Illness can sort of speak for itself. Then we're going to have a discussion about art, which is my favorite thing, so we'll do that. And also, if you're here and you might want to start a platform of your own, or if you have one of your own already started, we're going to talk about how you can use the arts to build community and reduce stigma. And of course, there's going to be a Q&A session, and there are, I know some of you might be asking me questions during the presentation, and I'm also going to pause a little bit to ask you questions as well. And so I kind of want to make this more interactive than just slides on a screen and so forth. So without further ado, let me introduce you to both me and the Secret Illness. So, like I said, my name is Abby, and I'm one of the volunteers for Secret Illness, and we are a completely volunteer-run organization, and we actually have people who are based throughout the world. I'm here in the US, and our founders are the two individuals who started the Secret Illness, Becca and Liz. They're out of the UK, and another individual I'll be talking about is Steph, another volunteer. She was originally in Canada and then eventually moved to England. So the interesting thing about that is that we, all of us had gotten together and we had never actually met each other. We had been doing this all online, so we didn't meet until a few years ago at the IOCDF conference in San Francisco. So that's the makeup of our team. And for me, I just a little personal history is that I have OCD. The Secret Illness is focused on OCD, and so I have had it for about since I was a kid. Probably started when I was 10 years old. Of course, I didn't know what it was at the time, so but I knew that something was wrong. I didn't have a name for it, and then as the years went by and the internet became a thing, I started doing what you're not supposed to do, which is look up your symptoms online. This was like the original WebMD. That was me looking that up. And I realized with about 90% certainty that I likely had OCD. I had intrusive thoughts and rituals that I did so that the anxiety of the intrusive thoughts would go away. I don't know how much you're familiar with OCD, but that's sort of the basics of it. For me, my symptoms are my rituals take place mostly in my head, so that you can't see them. So that was one of the reasons that I finally got a diagnosis in my 30s, and that was one of the reasons I think that I was able to sort of hide it. And that ties into what we call the secret illness, because so many people are ashamed of it and they don't share it. And just like me, for me personally, it took about 20 years to get a diagnosis, and that's mostly because I didn't know what it was, and also I was really scared to share what my symptoms and what I realized was wrong. So I think the average time period between onset of symptoms and getting help is about 12 to 14 years. So part of what we want to do at Secret Illness is to help people feel like they're not alone, and help people be able to see that there's a community of people, and see that others have shared similar experiences, and that there's no reason to be ashamed. And we do all of this, the way we try to build community, we do all of this is through the creative arts. And as you'll see in the video that I'm going to play in just a second, we started at the Secret Illness as a platform, a website with just sharing stories about people experiencing OCD, and they're just personal essays. And then, as you'll see in the video, we expanded from there. So I will start the video so that you can see what the Secret Illness is all about. And just out of curiosity, if you can say in the chat if any of you are actually familiar with the Secret Illness, I'd like to know. And if not, you are going to become familiar right now with what we do.
The chat is disabled, just so you know.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. Well, I will read all of your minds, and I'm going to play the video now.
We're going to be chatting about this project called The Wall in just a few minutes, where people were encouraged to share some brutally honest confessions about living with obsessive compulsive disorder.
Well, joining us now from the Secret Illness is Becca Laidler.
And I think with The Wall, we gave a platform where you can be anonymous and where lots of other people have already shared, so you can see do you know, I thought I was the only one thinking these things, but actually look at all these other people who have intrusive thoughts and fears who also think they're alone.
What has the reaction been from people?
We've had some great feedback from people who have talked for the first time, or just people that have been able to show the posts that they wrote themselves to their friends and say, look, these are things I can't really tell you, but here's my post and here's a load of other people, so it's not just me.
Spin Talk with Gordon and Lauren. Tweet us at Spin1038.
Tummy hurts, shoes don't feel right. OCD is putting up a good fight. All my worst thoughts stuck in my head. Today I'm wishing I could just stay in bed. I need to know the plan. Take me through the day. If I don't know all the details, in bed I will have to stay.
There was a young girl who caught sight of a spider. It wiggled and it wiggled and it jiggled beside her.
There's something wrong with me, but it's not something you can see. I've got no scar or suspect rash, no lump or bump or missing limb, no sudden slump or system crash. It's this old ghost I've got, you see. It only shows its face to me. It plants these questions in my head and sends them spinning round my chest. It never settles down to sleep. It never lets me get some rest. And when I try to wriggle free, this wicked ghost, it clings to me. It whispers stories of my doom, this effervescent thing, it looms and fleshes out my brittle bones, while I'm out swimming in the sea. But just as I'm about to flee, far out into the gloom, I see 1,000 faces blinking back, all floating on the open sea. They're smiling as I watch them glow, a dreamy, moonlit lantern show, all drifting through the same deep black. I wave at them and they wave back. 1,000 hands against the sky, 1,000 souls who've gone awry, all swimming through the same cold sea, and they've all got old ghosts like me.
Hay algo en mí que no está bien, pero tú no lo puedes ver. No tengo cicatriz o sospechosas manchas, ni bultos, protuberancias, ni pierna que falta, ni súbita caída.
Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Becca.
And we both are.
This is our second podcast.
Becca has decided on what the topic is going to be,
which is how OCD affects mother-daughter relationships.
And why did you choose this topic?
I grew up with a mum who suffers with OCD.
I'm Mitch Gersing. I'm a piano teacher and composer in Minneapolis. I've really treasured the ability to contribute and discuss and collaborate with people involved in the secret illness. I really believe that artistic collaboration breeds friendship. And in fact, if you heard the first episode of the podcast, our very own Steph was featured. She was the person who was interviewed for that episode, and I got to meet her on a recent road trip that my husband and I took to Toronto. And that was such a treat, to finally meet somebody who I'd been working with over email up until that point. So the way my process works is that Liz sends me just the raw audio of the interviews, and I'll listen to that a few times to kind of get familiar with the stories. And then I'll improvise at the piano while listening to the audio or after listening to the audio, and I'll try to capture what I perceive to be some of the sentiments and emotions. For example, anxiety, or numbness or resignation. But it's not all sad. There's a lot of positive and uplifting sides to the stories that we do on The Secret Illness, and I write music to correspond with that too.
So, as you can see, the secret illness has become a multimedia platform, and we have moved from doing posts on the wall, as you saw, and up to doing live events, poetry readings, spoken word. So we started out small, and we have even bigger things that we've done from there. And every time I see that video, I relate so much to some of the contributions from the artists and the storytellers who have contributed to The Secret Illness. And so I feel seen all over again. And I've seen that several times, and I still feel sort of overwhelmed by it. So I want to open up the discussion and talk about the power of art. And it's not really an exaggeration when I say that art has saved me in so much. Like I said, even during this pandemic, some of my mental health symptoms have gotten worse, but I have relied on storytelling and creating my own art and listening to other stories that have helped me. And I think that art has a way, it enables us to connect with each other. And hopefully that video showed and moved you also, and it showed that you really can create community through art. And I think we're seeing this now that many of us are we have to stay home to work, and we're doing Zoom meetings and so much we're doing online, and we're also disconnected in so many ways. And yet you've probably seen some people putting together songs and videos and singing from their balconies and so many things like that that really are a testament to how art can bring people together. And of course, our goal with The Secret Illness is not just connection, but we also want to help reduce stigma. And I think that sharing stories, whether it's through a painting or a poem or a blog post, whatever it happens to be, is a way for other people to learn to empathize with us. And I say us because I have OCD and I'm part of the community. And I just want to mention that all of the volunteers who are part of The Secret Illness, we either we have OCD or we know someone who has OCD, and so we're all connected in that way. And the other thing that we would like to do through The Secret Illness is correcting all of those assumptions about what it means to have OCD. And I think that you can do this through art. Through pop culture, we've seen representations of OCD that are inaccurate. I'll say that. That puts putting it lightly. They're inaccurate, and they're usually about someone washing their hands repeatedly, which happens, certainly, but usually it's done in sort of a cartoonish way. And as you saw from the video, there's a range of experiences that that people have when they're dealing with OCD, and these stories show all of the layers. So what I want to do right now, just for a couple of minutes, I want to open up to a question to ask you, and you can unmute yourself if you would like, but how has art, or send questions to the Whova chat so that I could see them in the chat here. They'll be added to the chat here. I would like to know, how has art helped you, either helped your mental health or even outside of that? How has it been beneficial to you? And are there ways you can share, whether it's built community, reduced stigma, whatever it happens to be? Anyone?
Hi.
Hi.
I can't get on the chat, but I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I do not have the mobile app, but I really admire your site. So impressed by your skills. I'm working with someone trying to do a site it's not a mental health site, but I just, on a gut level, the art touches your heart on a gut level that you don't get from just reading about it or hearing a speaker talk to you. It with a little bit of your site, it's so beautifully laid out with the chairs. And I did, to answer your other question, just learn about it through this conference. I'd never heard of it before, and it's just beautifully done. The music was wonderful, and so I'm a receiver of art to help. I'm a parent, and it helps to soothe and to understand and to have empathy. So thank you.
Yes. And thank you for such great feedback. I will say that I definitely don't do this alone. I'm more the word person, sort of in terms of behind the scenes. I edit the blog posts, and when I do edit those, I try to make sure that the author, their voice is still showing through. So I try not to be too intrusive with my editing. We have enough intrusive thoughts to deal with, so I'm not going to be an intrusive editor. And we have Liz, who you heard on the video. She is has so much talent. She's a filmmaker by day, and she put together that video. And as you saw, we have so many different creative collaborations, painters and poets, and that's one of the things that I find so beautiful about Secret Illness, is that so many people have come together to make it such a beautiful thing. And I'm seeing in the chat that Sarah is sharing that art has helped her organize her thoughts, so it's not so busy. I know that feeling so well. My brain is so busy all the time that just putting things on paper has helped keep me organized and keep me on an even keel. And she also says that art also helps reach more individuals who may not read or be able to understand certain topics, and that's definitely true too. I think many people are drawn to different forms of art and so forth, that either through visual or through hearing things. So it's great to have a sort of multimedia perspective. I personally, one of my favorite Secret Illness projects is the poem that you saw, and that brought together music and poetry and reciting the poem as well, so you get to hear it as well, and also animation. And I think that it all came together and fit together so beautifully. Before any other thoughts about art, I just to come clean, I used to be a creative writing teacher, so I could talk about art for another whole hour, but you probably don't want to hear that. So I could fangirl about Secret Illness all day too. So any other thoughts on art and healing? Yes, Elena is saying that she loves the music. I love the music too. It's so wonderful.
So I do want, this is Eugene, I do want to mention that if you cannot see the chat, you might want to, when you log on, go to view on the top of the page and hit web app, and that way you have access to the chat.
Okay, I think there's one more question. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon. On the topic of art, I noticed, like, for self-care, especially for self-awareness month, and it was suicide prevention awareness, I found really helpful the cartoons and like cartoons or comics they made that helped with self-care tips. That really helped me actually get things in perspective too. A lot of the mental health cartoons that I saw, that was really helpful.
Yes, I agree. I've seen some as well, and if you ask me to give you a specific example now, of course I'm blanking, but I love those too. They're sort of they can be both lighthearted and also talk about very serious issues, and they really, in a short, concise way, they get a message across. So I appreciate them too. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Fran.
Oh no, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you
No,
off.
I also just wanted to say quickly, music as well. I enjoy music, playlist especially.
Yes. I don't know if you make particular playlists for particular moods, but that's also a good thing as well.
Definitely. Pandemic mood.
Yes. Have a pandemic playlist. I love that. Okay. All right. So if you didn't get to ask a question now. Don't worry, there's going to be some time. I want to move on to talking about how you might, if you're thinking about creating your own platform. Like I said earlier, I'm going to give an overview of doing things, or giving tips for how you might do that on your own. I can't, this is just a high level overview. I can't really go into, here's how you build a website, or create a film. Like I said, I'm sort of the word person behind the scenes, editing and writing. And you know, we have Liz and Steph and Becca and so many other people who bring so many of their talents and skills to the table that make it all work. So on a high level, I know we've talked about the secret illness in particular is about OCD, but I wanted to say that this is more like, it's just sort of a template or an example of things that you can do for any kind of audience that you would like to reach. And so just as a few key points, before you even get started, before you even make the website, before you even start posting videos or whatever it is you want to do, keep in mind, what are your objectives? And I like to think of this as sort of that Tom Cruise movie with the mission statement. That's really corny, of course, but essentially that's what you need to think about before you start your own platform. And I use platform sort of loosely. You could be, like I said, you could be thinking about videos or a website, whatever it happens to be. What is it that you want to do? And so for the secret illness, our goal, our objectives is to show the lived experience of dealing with OCD. And on top of that, to try to build community and try to reduce stigma, and we do it through the arts. So if before you even get started, think about what you want to communicate and be concise about it. And if you can get that, you're on your way. I put up here the idea of playing strengths, and what I mean by that is I've been talking about our team and mentioned different names throughout this talk. And what I mean by that is what are your strengths? What are you going to bring to the project? And I keep mentioning that I'm the words person. Sorry, I repeat myself. I have OCD. That's kind of a thing for me. But my strength is with words. Liz's strength is with visual storytelling. And don't think that you have to go on do this on your own. Assemble a team, and your team will be able to create great things, given the skills and the strengths that you each have. And another great thing about working online in this digital age is that, like I said before, and in the video also, we all sort of work together through email. We finally had some phone calls, and like I said, we finally met. So you're not really limited by geography anymore. And so that's really a plus. And the other thing that I said is asking the right questions. And here I really mean, and this goes back to the objectives, which is, I like to take it as the who, where, what, when, and why. Who are you? Who do you want to reach? Who is your audience? What is it that you want to accomplish? Why are you doing this? That's a very important question to ask. Why are you doing this? And where, which could be, well, where do you want to show your art, build your community? We have an online platform, but we've also gone to conferences, and you saw that there was a live event, which that took place in the UK, and I'm so sad that I wasn't able to go, but every time I've seen video of it, it's just, I just imagine that it's such an amazing thing to sort of bring the secret illness to life, the stories and the props, and those, it's all just so beautiful that I think it gives an immersive experience of what it's like to live with OCD. And finally, there's this little, I have a little graphic up there of adaptability, and it's like a chameleon that's turned into a ladybug. And my friend said that it looks like the chameleon wants to eat the ladybug. And maybe that's true, but in this case, what I mean by that is we started with just stories. We started with just the profiles on the wall, which are written by our community. And from there, it grew, and people reached out to the Secret Illness and said, hey, have you ever thought of doing XYZ? What do you think? I'm a painter. I'd love to share my paintings. And so from there, we built, and having that kind of flexibility is definitely a strong suit. So you can start from one place, and ultimately you can go farther. Like I said, you're only limited by your imagination. It sounds a little corny, but it's true. You can do beautiful things when you without limitations, I think. And finally, one of the big things that people always ask is, how do you find your audience? And I think most of us are familiar with social media, and we know that social media can be, putting it mildly, can be a bad place to be. But it's also a really wonderful place in terms of developing communities around mental health, reducing stigma. I found the Secret Illness through social media myself. I had, when I was first wanting to speak about having OCD and share my story, I thought, well, what can I do? And this was after I had been diagnosed and after I had realized that that I'm no longer ashamed of having this illness. So what can I do? How can I reach people? And because I don't want them to feel as alone as I felt. And so I did a few things. One of them was I went on social media and I said, you know what, I'm going to talk about this. And you find so many people, sure, through hashtags like #OCD and #mental health, and you find your people. You really do, and it's been really wonderful to see that develop. And for me, I had actually Steph and I became sort of Twitter friends, and she and I had chatted and talked about mental health, of course, but other things as well. And she one day said to me on Twitter, she said, she messaged me and said, have you heard about the Secret Illness? This was before I was involved. And I said, it's so weird that you reached out to me just now, because I just saw the Secret Illness website and I bookmarked it and I wanted to share my story. And ultimately, that's what I did. So I do have a post up there on the wall. And I said, I really like what you're doing, and if you ever need any help, if you ever need any volunteers, I'm here for you. And ultimately, I became a volunteer, and it's been so amazing to see what Secret Illness has done. So social media might not be the greatest thing in the world, but it also can be such a wonderful platform for finding community. I truly believe that. Maybe I'm naive here, but I have not had any negative experiences in terms of talking about my mental health over social media and finding other communities. I talk to people all over the world now, and it's been so nice to know that I'm not alone, they're not alone, and we support each other, and it's been great. So finding your audience, Becca, who is also a volunteer, I wrote to me and said, if people are wondering what they can do to make their platform reach people, social media is a great way to go. And as you saw in the video, people really have come out and wanted to collaborate with us. I also just want to say before I go to Q&A that I think that there's really a desire to have these kinds of platforms. I think that people really, really do want to talk about this. And sometimes they can only do so anonymously, or sometimes they can only do so as a consumer and finding art that speaks to them. But I really think that there's a great desire and a great need. And I hope that we at The Secret Illness, I wish my teammates, the other volunteers could be here with me today, but I hope that we have inspired you to hopefully start your own platform and continue building community. So what I would like to do now, I have put up some contact information. I'll put that up just for a little bit right now and open up the floor to Q&A. And I did not, for some reason, put my own Secret Illness email address on the slide. That was an oversight on my part, but it's if you'd like to speak to me about anything, it's Abby, A-B-B-Y, at thesecretillness.com. Let me keep this up for just a, well, no, let me stop sharing for a moment. And if you can see the chat, my email, it's actually thesecretillness.com. And I'll put that in there. And I'll put the contact info up once again in a few minutes, but for right now, we have a few minutes and I wanted to discuss art or building community, reducing stigma, your experiences, whatever comes to mind, any questions you have personally about the Secret Illness. And if there's anything that I can't answer, please feel free to reach out to me and by email and or the Whova app, I believe you can, and I will get answers for you. So I suppose I shouldn't have such an open-ended question because that never works when I'm in the classroom. So are there any particular questions about Secret Illness? If you would like to share your story with us, we'd be happy to help you with that. And what we've done at The Secret Illness, one of the things that I like is that we take a very democratic approach where what you would like to share is up to you. We're not going to tell you you can't share this or that. And we work together to bring your story to the site. And you can be as anonymous as you want. Is anyone thinking about creating their own platform using the arts to help reduce stigma or build community, or both? I feel like I'm in the classroom again. Are there any general comments? Type my okay, well, let me put up my contact information back up there. We have several minutes left if anyone wants to ask any questions or share any particular stories. You can find The Secret Illness on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And of course, we have our website, secretillness.com. I appreciate all of you being here. I was hoping that there'd be some more questions, but that's okay.
I will just thank you so much. I think you're brilliant.
It's definitely a team effort. It's definitely a team, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I had a couple questions, Abby, but I don't think
Sure.
you could see any of the questions or what I'm putting in the chat box. I may have missed it, but what's your favorite art medium to use for yourself personally?
Mine personally. I love, and I'm gonna call comedy an art. I love comedy, and I've written about it, and I've also done some myself, or attempted to do some myself. And what I find is that if you can find the humor in a situation, that it helps, at least it helps me with the healing. And I think that there is something really important about being someone who has that lived experience, so that when you're telling jokes, you're not making fun of someone, you're not punching down, you're kind of doing, it might be a little self-deprecation, but you're not making fun of people, which I think is very important. It's important not to do that, and it's just been helpful to me when I've been struggling to find the humor in it.
Thanks. And then I had another question too.
Sure.
If I were to create a platform for mental illness, how would I know, or is there a way to search for like a specific mental illness to make sure that somebody hasn't already covered that platform? 'Cause I don't want to step on any toes.
Right. I think, I mean, I would say that I kind of would say not to worry about stepping on toes, because each perspective is different. But I definitely consult Dr. Google and you know, see if there's maybe specific communities. But also going to some sites have like, and I can, like the IOCDF, which is the International OCD Foundation. Sometimes sites like that, organizations that are dealing with that provide assistance and information about specific mental illnesses, sometimes they have a list of links to people who are doing work in the community, and so that's a good place to check as well. Because I know the internet is so vast, it's like, what do you put in there? You know, like, do I put OCD and art? And you'll probably get a million results. So checking the particular organizations, if they have links, will be helpful.
Thanks. And then my last question was, with a site like that, or how you have The Secret Illness, how do you have people anonymously? Do they send you an email with their own email and then you post it anonymously, or?
Yeah, so what we've done, so in terms of like the wall, for instance, people have sent us their story through email. So we and they can tell us if they want to use their whole name, their first name, or no identifying information at all, and that's completely up to them. We've left it up to them, and we have several posts up there that are under anonymous or under first name. I think actually all of them only have a first name, and they also submit a photo to us, which is pixelated, which hopefully you were able to see on the video. And so their name and then one of their intrusive thoughts or an introduction to their story is on the front. And then when you click on it, you read their story, and they can provide as much identifying information or as little as they want, because I know it's very important sometimes to remain anonymous.
Thank you so much, Abby. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Are there any other questions? We have a few minutes left.
I do want to mention one curriculum that I have used in the past. I don't know if anybody has heard about it, but it's called Window Between Worlds. It focuses more on trauma, but it has everything that you talked about: music, art, poetry. It's activities that you can use and you can do.
Oh, that's what. So in the clinical setting or in a more general setting?
Actually for both.
Oh, okay. That's great. And it's the Window Between Worlds?
Window Between Worlds.
Okay, wonderful.
And they have a full curriculum on there that anybody can go in and use.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Are there any other questions? Here's somebody's phone. That's okay. Well, I hope that you've all been inspired to make art or consume art or both. It really does have a beneficial effect on mental health and building community, creating empathy. Like I said, it saved me, and that's not an exaggeration. It saved me so many times, and I'm definitely thankful for the Secret Illness and other platforms like it. Thank you, Alejandra, who said that the website looks really cool. Thank you so much. And I will definitely provide all of this feedback to the team. And I really appreciate all of you coming to this talk today. Hope you're inspired to create art. So, thank you.
Thank you, Abby Rotstein, for this presentation. It was informative, engaging, and thank you for our attendees for participating in this presentation. Thank you so much. You guys have a few minutes. So thank you so much. Have a good day, guys, and I hope you guys can go to other workshops as well.
Bye.
Bye.